What's up, guys? Our Wrestling Podcast back at you with another episode. This is Dave Vicious, along with Just the Total Package and Craig the British Bulldog, bringing you our perspective on the world of professional wrestling. No inside sources, no ties to the industry, just stories from the diehards, sharing opinions with you. Today's topic, wrestling's Mount Rushmore Part 2, Tag Team Edition. For audio fans, give us a listen on Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud, and iHeartRadio, or watch our videos on YouTube at our wrestling channel, and check out exclusive content on Daily Motion at our wrestling podcast. On social media, can you give us a follow on Instagram at O.W.P 2019 or on Facebook if you're old at our wrestling podcast? Sorry, it's true. On Facebook, you're really old. This is episode 2 already. We just did a fabulous edition of our good feels of Mount Rushmore. We also discussed what the standard Mount Rushmore should be. But I'm kind of excited because we talked about this during the week, Jess, and you said we could do some tags. I think tag should be I like the idea of tag as an episode of itself. The Mount Rushmores of tag teams. I don't know if I've never heard anybody talking about it, Jess, on other pods. You?
We are the first. We are the greatest.
That's what I heard. In my mind.
Nobody's ever done it before.
Never done it before. And I don't know who wants to go first.
I'll go first.
You do it. You do it. Thank God.
The Mulkeys.
Tex Slazenger and Shanghai Pierce.
You have no idea. They're on my list.
I'm a homer.
It's getting
Of course, I'm going to do the Bulldogs, right? Have to.
Yeah, you have to do the Bulldogs. Come on, man.
Heart Foundation. Heart Foundation might be on both of your lists. That's undeniable at first, and then I have the strange ones, not the strange ones, the less obvious for me
the more
personally.
Recent ones. Yeah.
I have the Steiners and the Hardys. So my Mount Rushmore is Bulldogs, Heart Foundation, Steiners, and Hardy Boys.
Already, it's getting interesting.
Yeah, you don't like the Hardy Boys pick, do you? All right.
No. Mine's a Heart Foundation because they're the greatest tag team of all time. So Heart Foundation is easy for me. It's just they've been my favorite tag team forever. Heart Foundation, and then Steiner Brothers were right there. Like Steiners were so amazing. And they kept so many people interested in WCW.
I know your next two.
My next two, Craig. So to kind of go along with yours, I was thinking the same era, but I chose the Dudley Boys because
that's great.
I think the Dudley Boys, they could be heel, they could be face. And I liked that Edge and Christian, Hardy's, Dudley Boys. I'll never forget it. I'll never forget that time. That's crazy. But I think I picked the Dudley Boys out of all of them because, Edge and Christian were pretty good too. But it's just the Dudleys came from ECW. They had a fun act there. And that's all it was an act, really. And then when they got to WWE, they were challenged to become characters. And I just felt like as heel or faces, they did everything they were asked for. They went to New Japan, they went to TNA Impact afterwards, and they had a long run there too. I think that Dudley Boys, to me, should absolutely go on the Mount Rushmore. They're on mine anyway.
Give me your argument for Dudleys over Hardys.
Because I think you could do both. Hardys were never heels and then faces. They were always faces. Everybody loved. And I'm not saying you're damned if you do. I'm just saying Dudley Boys were so breaking case of emergency, and they were the pocket knife or the multi-purpose knife for your drawer, that has a million different screwdrivers in one.
Yeah,
and, whatever.
You're right.
That's what Dudley Boys are. They could do anything you want. Edge and Christian, well, not Edge and Christian. I take that back. Hardy Boys could only wrestle their match, and if you didn't wrestle their match with them, then I didn't think they were that great. But they were great, and they belong in history. And so many people, Craig, are going to put the Hardy Boys on their Mount Rushmore, and I don't blame them for it at all.
I was just interested, and you kind of alluded to it with the all-purpose face and heels kind of thing, and that's I do not disagree with you, dude. As a true tag team,
and they're super decorated. I know wrestling titles are given, and it's a script, whatever. But they're super decorated. They won ECW titles, WWF titles, TNA Impact titles. They won a New Japan Pro Wrestling Tag Team Championship.
Sure.
They are they were
I just think why they come off the list sometimes is that they've tarnished, they've gone on too long, and there's been so much havoc in the ring, mostly from one individual in individual matches. So that kind of tarnishes it. But as a tag team, I think it's, I don't want to say it's undeniable, but it is one of those things where they definitely have there's a say in there. So I get it.
Yeah, there's two different federations that the Dudleys conquered. So
Yeah.
There's two totally different ideas of who the Hardy Boys are.
And as a pure tag team, they probably deserve more than the Hardys. I do not disagree. I'm sorry. And you have one more.
But the Dudleys didn't do what the Hardy Boys did on massive ladders. And hey, can we get him jump off that?
They did though. They actually did. They didn't do.
I don't think the Dudleys were as dangerous as the Hardys were on Risk.
That's fair.
Just saying that, come on.
Sorry, Jess. Number 4.
My last one. So I can't. It really should be one tag team, but this tag team that I'm not going to list is going to be on everyone's list. Of course it is. But I'm going to take their counterpart because of the way that I grew up.
I think I already know where you're going.
I started watching wrestling in late 87, early 88. And I didn't watch a lot of Crockett at the time / WCW because I didn't have cable. I didn't watch it until a couple years after I got in WWF and I met Joe. And then Joe's like, I got cable. So my pick is Demolition. Because it
had to be on your list. They were just
the tag team. They were just the tag team to me in the 80s. And they weren't my favorite because everybody knows how Foundation was. But I mean, like, Demolition was the dominant tag team. Like, in between the Foundation's reigns, like, Demolition, the longest reigning tag team champions for a long time, and they tied the Wild Samoans for 3. They were the first tag team. Well, they were the second tag team actually to make 3. So they tied Wild Samoans, and that was a big deal at the time. And that was a lot for Vince to kind of reference the older era, of wrestling. He didn't do that a lot, like especially when it comes to comparing Hulk and Bruno. He wouldn't dare. But Demolition, like, to me, like, and their run was not that long. Like, it really was. It was like late 87 all the way through. They broke up in 91. Like that was Demolition's run.
You want to talk about the uphill battle between a tag team that was initially like tagged as like Road Warrior imitators, but then fought through that, busted through that wall, and then became undeniable. So I don't blame you.
And don't get me wrong, I could have easily, if I would have saw the Road Warriors first, I absolutely would have connected with them first because Hawk and Animal are awesome, but I can't claim them. I can't pretend.
But by the way, their styles are completely different, in my opinion. I mean, like, it was more of a rough them up with Demolition and Legion of Doom. While they did it was high flying stuff and getting someone high in the air, like pushing, like using their strength to push people
Joe
around.
And I say it all the
Demolition
time.
was like, I'm gonna hammer on people, and
Demolition
really were
Demolition were hands down better workers than LOD was.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Especially Axe.
He's the oldest, right? I know. Like, yes. I mean, they were old then.
Yeah. They kind of reinvented
That's a good
themselves
choice.
Even then. Yeah.
So Hart Foundation, Steiners, Dudleys, and Demolition from Jess.
Yes.
Yeah.
David.
Okay. I'll put Demolition in there too because we grew up on them, but I am such to your point, Jess, a Legion of Doom fan, Road Warrior fan. As soon as I saw those guys, it just went off the charts for me, man. They are fantastic. As soon as
so you're saying
hits,
Demolition and LOD.
Oh, 100%. I mean, they kind of go hand in hand. LOD has the titles, they have the accolades, they had the pop. As soon as you heard what a rush, and people just lose their mind, and they just come down and wreak havoc. And they're massive. They were scary. They pretty much tore anyone apart that ever came in there. Love them. Love LOD. But Demolition is what we saw first, Jess, and it is. And people were like, "Oh, they're Legion of Doom knockoff," and I'm like, "What's that?" And then as soon as I saw, they would say, Road Warriors. But then when you saw Legion,
I think what hurts LOD is like their last, the LOD 2000 or whatever. Like they let themselves just be bastardized. It was very sad, but they
it's kind of a sellout.
With the 92 and everything before that, like they were always fantastic.
Right. They were never the same after 92. After that final WWF run in 92, and they went to WCW for a bit and then came back to WWF. Like after 92, they were never the same. Animal was injured a lot, and Hawk was having a good time and getting super unhealthy.
I'm gonna go with a more recent one too, and I don't know. You guys might give me a hard time about this because you might say it's more faction than tag team, and I'm gonna go Freebird rules on it just in my mind. But I think the Shield is like could be my Mount Rushmore of tags because of the interchangeability and the Freebird style rules, and they dominated in a realm of tag team action and faction for a number of years, and we grow to appreciate all of those guys as individuals later and what it accomplished for them later on. But I can't recall a more dominant set of people that could interchange tag. And they did a lot of 3-on-3 stuff too. Don't get me wrong, but I think the Shield has a lot to say about that. Go ahead, Craig. Give me the objection on that one. Maybe it's.
I object. It's a 3-man team. If you were to say Arn Anderson, Tully Blanchard, aka Horseman, I would agree with you.
I thought about Brainbusters too. It's close,
but I don't think you can throw the Shield into a 2-man tag team.
So can you not do the Fabulous Freebirds in as well, as an example?
Oof. No, because I was nodding when I thought you were going to say Freebird rules, Fabulous Freebirds. But to me, that's
they were
Terry
right
Gordy.
outside. The Freebirds were right outside my list.
Okay, let's change the subject because.
So we all went, right? We all went.
No, I got one. I got one more.
You got one more.
And all I gotta say, Craig, I'm gonna bring you back in. You're gonna love this because Craig.
You look like you're in a motorized wheelchair.
Yeah. Craig had a 3-legged cat that he would sing this intro song to, and the cat's name was Booker, if I'm not mistaken.
I like where you're going, David.
I love.
But he throws another swerve. He's like, I'm gonna say,
love
Rushmore Brothers.
The Rushmore Brothers. You know what? That's a good one too.
Like he, with Freebirds, the way he threw us off the trail. The first time he's like, talk about Freebird rules. The Shield.
I can't begin to tell you in WCW days, and with Sherry as well, in and out of that tag set, and hearing that music, some of the best tag team intro music ever known, along with some hard hitting, big, huge sons of bitches, just taking it to everybody, and they were undeniable. You had to give them gold. They were so popular, and people just gravitated them so quickly. I think Harlem Heat is one of the best tag teams ever, and his brother wasn't even that into it, in my opinion, compared to Booker. Booker became a great singles wrestler, 5-time plus world champion after between the two major federations. But I love every time Harlem Heat music comes out, whether it's Booker or it's Harlem Heat, you hear that music. It draws you in. It connects you. It gets you really excited.
That's a great choice,
I love
Dave.
that tag team. I love it. I love them. It's
one
of my favorites. Yeah.
They were one of the only bright spots in a mid-90s tag team division that didn't care about the WWF side. Yeah, it was just so they were like the standouts for sure in that time.
They were so fun.
A pure tag team too, like really good.
Yeah,
that's a pure tag team. Yeah, I agree. All right. Is there anything like we put on the standard? What's the standard?
I think the main one's like, God, I hate to say it. Like,
there's not a standard, right?
If you took it's so all over the place with tag teams because there's not as many tag teams as singles wrestlers in that sense. So, like, I mean, I know there's a lot of tag teams, like we said in the first one, like from the territory days, and I get it. You know, Ole Anderson and Rip Torn, like back in the middle, whatever area, like they were the best tag team I've ever seen.
But Tully and Anderson, one of the best I've ever seen too, and it was a short stint. Yeah. That's good stuff.
I don't know. List too? It depends now. Like if you take a consensus now, I don't know. I really, other than one tag team, I don't really know if the rest of the positions on if you took a poll would be the same. Like LOD is easy, Road Warriors is easy,
right?
But I mean, like it's because they've been hyped so much. I don't know.
Steiners are easy.
I don't know if they are anymore. I don't like. I think the Mount Rushmore on the general population would be LOD just out of pure, or Road Warriors out of pure. Just WWE has hyped them even after their death and like all that. Even WWE regarded them as like the greatest tag team of all time. I would say them, probably the Hardys, Edge and Christian, and the Dudleys because everybody remembers them.
Edge and Christian is so
everybody
close.
remembers them because of that feud. So I think if you ask the general audience, even younger fans right now, that is their Graceland. That is their because those 3 teams will never leave your memory.
I
think they clip Steiners and Hearts. I think in my mind
they might clip them, and other people might get clipped too for this particular one. If you're really, really new into the business and you saw them come up, and another Freebird rule set is the New Day. The New Day fucking dominated.
I absolutely think that the New Day should go down as one of the greatest tag teams of all time.
I don't know. New Day is a great argument for the Shield and the Freebirds kind of rule to also.
Right.
Yes, they were more
allowed 2 for
they were more relatable to the Freebirds than
Shield. Yeah, I agree with that.
So just FYI, the teams that we have multiple picks with were Heart Foundation, Steiners, and Demolition.
So
those 3.
I don't know. The tag team division is kind of alluded to this.
I had no
clue. We don't get a lot of specialty tag teams anymore. We don't get people that are coming in solely as tag specialists. And if they're
Alex Wonderkin plus whoever.
I mean, when business gets down to a certain level, you're always going to have singles wrestlers. Of course you are. And then when the tag team division dies down, you have a 2 or 3 year gap where nothing happens, or they put Owen and Bulldog together, or they put Vader and Mankind together, or they do weird stuff like that. Jericho, remember when they went to putting singles wrestlers together? Jericho and Big Show or Jericho.
He was incredibly dominant. We forgot about, and they're not together anymore as of recent as the Usos.
Totally. Oh shit! Oh my God, Dave! Jesus Christ! Usos might deserve to be on Rushmore.
They could be on the overall standard Rushmore with their longevity and
we never said Usos.
Them and the New Day. I'm again, I can't claim them because
if you talk to people that have been watching wrestling for only 10, 15 years total.
Those 2 are the best tag teams
they'd be on their
ever.
Rushmore without question. Those 2 would be on their Rushmore.
And it's too early, but Young Bucks obviously deserve,
they do.
10 years
they really do. FTR, they really do.
Oh my God, FTR.
The Briscoe brothers.
All right.
Briscoe brothers.
Right. Mm-hmm. It's funny how it's bigger than you think. The prospect of Mount Rushmore for tag teams. It's bigger than you think when you really start to dig into it, and then you're like, wait a minute, and then you almost start to rethink your whole idea. But again, this is only about what connected with us, and that's where we were with tag. And again, I wanted to put the Hollywood Blondes in there so bad. I just couldn't. I couldn't do it.
Yeah, Miz and Morrison was good. You can go.
They get beat up and watch Hollywood Blondes just do their stupid when they're half passed out and do the stupid reel, and so much fun. Did they win gold? Did the Hollywood Blondes ever win tag gold? I don't know.
Yeah, they were WCW champions. Yeah,
more than once.
No, just one time. Their run was a year. They literally were only together for a year.
Oh, it's brutal. Yeah, it's just not long enough, right? I loved him. That's like where you saw hints of Stone Cold before he even knew what Stone Cold was. You'd see him have fun in there, just do stupid shit. It's fucking great. So, fantastic stuff. For audio fans, give us a listen to Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud, and iHeartRadio, or watch our videos on YouTube at Our Wrestling Channel, and check out exclusive content on Daily Motion at Our Wrestling Podcast, and on social media. And you give us a follow on Instagram at O.W.P 2019, or if you don't know what Instagram is, Facebook at Our Wrestling Podcast. For the trio, this is the O.W.P signing off. Have a good one.